So in Egypt we have an interesting idea that after the death of Osiris, who died assassinated by his own brother, the establishment of the great hall of judgment in Amenta, the great wonderful temple where the Osiris in the afterlife governed the quick and the dead. And Osiris therefore became, like Hades, a king of the underworld. But there was nothing about Osiris that was evil, nor was there anything about Hades that was evil. Hades was represented by the Greeks as a rather gloomy deity who did the best he could with a situation that got more complicated every day. And we might assume if Hades was somewhere around today, he would be more gloomy than ever, because of the quality of what was descending into his domain. It would not be very attractive or inspiring. But anyway, Osiris ruled over a beautiful world, a world of growth and happiness, an underworld that was really an over life. Here he ruled with all of his court of deities, with Isis as his sister wife, and all of the good spirits and the great jury that was to judge the quick and the dead. And the one and only son of Osiris, the young Prince Horus, who was begotten of the father, begotten after the death of the father, therefore was the widow's son. This power was the custodian of mercy. Anything that Horus asked of his father would be granted, because he was the only begotten and the beloved of the Father. So when souls in sorrow and misery came into the great hall of judgment to pass the tests as to whether they could go on to a blissful existence, the jury watched and decided. Thoth read the tablets. Anubis brought in the soul of the deceased, and they stood in the presence of Osiris. And it was there that the deceased named his virtues, pointed out the good things he had done, and tried to prove that he was worthy to go in to eternal happiness. If it happened, as more often it would happen, that there were some doubts as to his worthiness, whether it was really true that he had never failed in charity, that he had never deceived anyone, that he had never profited at the loss of others, that he had never been cruel, that he had never neglected his children, that he had always thought of others first and not of himself. The great confession of faith has been said to be so positive, so comprehensive, that not one person in 100 million could actually honestly claim it. It was the highest moral code for the dead that probably the world has ever known. But in this emergency, everything hung for a moment in suspension. The soul was not really worthy to go on. And the soul, speaking through the little urn in which the heart was hidden, said, "Do not let me die with the body that lives and dies for only a day." And in this emergency, Horus comes forward. He is the one who asks his father to forgive the sin and to place the sin upon himself instead, that he would take the sin of the person and let the sin be neutralized so that the soul could go on to growth and peace. And unless there was great emergency and some terrible matter involved, the Father always permitted the Son to redeem the soul so that the soul could go on into the better life. Now there's something about that has a definite Christian echo to it, even though it was in force in Egypt 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. There is this intercession in which the soul intercedes for the salvation of the being. Then if it is worthy and it is allowed to go on, and in the psychostasia, or the weighing of the soul, it is justified and protected by Horus, it is then led into the land beyond. And this land is not a strange wilderness, nor is it a place in which there is nothing but worldly palaces. It is another Egypt. It is another earth, but a gentle earth, in which the virtuous rest and carry on the common deeds of living. The Egyptians had no idea of an afterlife that was either punishment or laziness. The soul did not simply float around on flowery beds of ease. The soul in the afterlife kept right on doing the things that had made it happy and useful in the physical world. It kept on learning, in a sense. It kept on growing, and it kept on becoming more and more aware of its own divinity. And then came finally the exhaustion of this particular karmic cycle, and the soul returned to embodiment. But it brought back with it an internal security that it had not known before. It did not know the name of that security. It was not something that it could put its finger on as a reality. But the soul within became stronger. The determination to grow became deeper. And the ability to handle the common problems of life became greater. With each embodiment, the soul advanced a step in its growth by purification, by the mysteries of water, the mysteries of the cleansing power of the pure stream of the water of life, the water of everlastingness, and those who drank thereof never thirsted again. So here we have